When I was younger, I used to skate, like, it's a long time ago, but like when I was 13, and I'm 41 now. But from 13 to 18, I used to, like, be in contests and stuff like that. And I was like a suburban kid, in Santa Barbara. It's a very kind of boring California town. But then you go to Los Angeles every weekend for a contest and see all these crazy punk rock kids. And so it was my first real education into all the things I'm interested in now. So you're a suburban kid and you go to a skate park and you see these kids that are doing weird things with their personal style, or they're doing weird things with the way they talk, or what they're listening to. And you can't quite describe it, but it's like they're constantly changing the rules or switching their style or switching the game. They were confusing or breaking down every sort of expectation you had, and they were sort of fucking with you all the time. And mostly about your expectations of what someone does or what someone looks like, or even what a punk kid looks like. They were always changing it. And that I really love, and I think I still try to do in my work. Like, I did a Sonic Youth record cover. It doesn't look particularly punk, but that's what's punk about it. I do think punk rock and skateboarding have been one of the biggest influences on me, but my work doesn't necessarily look punk rock. And to me, that actually is punk. Like, if you look punk and you have a mohawk or whatever, you're kind of like a joke or a caricature. I make things that are very simple looking, and everything I do, I kind of simplify. And I used to think that was because I hated other design that was very complicated, or different schools or trends of design that were all about being complicated, and I didn't like that. And then the older I got there, I was like, no, it's like when I was a kid, things were very confusing in my house and not clear and deceptive. So I'm about making it clear, and it's sort of like making the world safe for my brain again, or for my emotional life. And so it's a very old need in me to make things, like, in a way, overly obvious, and to play with that, or to overly simplify. And it's like making some kid part of me feel okay, I went to a very sort of fancy art school, like very theoretical art school, and I got exposed to a lot of conceptual art and political art and all that. And I love all that, and that changed me a lot too. It's kind of like that and skateboarding are the two things that influenced me the most. But that art world is very I find it very exclusive. And even though I'm an art museum director's son, I still feel nervous when I'm in that world. And then the art world that, like, Aaron Rose created, that kind of skateboarder art world, I felt very comfortable in, and the stakes weren't so self-important, So it was just worked very naturally for me. So yeah, it was funny, I gravitated back towards luckily I just bumped into a skateboarding world right at the right time. And also, in terms of a graphic designer, I thought, like, I'm going to have to get a normal job and be a normal designer and design, like, catalogs or something. And then I met all those guys, and it just encouraged me, like, no, I don't have to do that. Like, I can keep doing record covers or do whatever I want to do, and it'll work out. I think that the things I like are a basic feeling, like an intrinsic feeling. So I'm trying this, I'm trying that, I don't know what's working, and I do something, it feels right. Like, it is like a body thing. So if I'm doing a music video, I listen to the music on repeat repeat for like 2 days. And my first ideas are really bad, they're really contrived, they're really obvious. But then by the end of the first day or the second day after listening to it, I'm working on a different level and like more subconscious level, and the ideas are much stranger and much more a surprise to me, which is always the best. Then I know I'm onto something if it's sort of surprising me. And so I feel like that's how I did it. That's how I sort of figured out who I am, by doing things for like X-Girl or Air. I think like, yeah, a band brings you a song and it has a particular quality, but then you always have your own relationship to it. And I think not every band, but a lot of bands, you could do stuff that's very autobiographical to you, to the video maker.
All I need's a place to find, and there I'll celebrate.
You know, when I was, I don't know, 27 years old, I was in New York, and I started hanging out just with a bunch of skaters again, just sort of by accident. And Aaron Rose's alleged gallery and all the people I met through there. And I started doing work for skate companies like Supreme or Stereo. And so it was funny, like I was basically 30 years old and I was doing skateboards and bands again. And when I was 15, I was doing skateboards and bands. And I feel like I really haven't changed that much. It's the same basic world I've been in. I've done a bunch of work that looks kind of similar, but to me it's been like, oh, I'm still figuring something out. But the best work and the work that's most exciting is the stuff like I had no idea I was going to do that, and I never did anything like that before, and I don't know what it is, or a lot of times like I'm trying to work this direction with these rules, and then for some reason my brain will come up with something over here, you know, and it'll be totally against the rules that I've been trying to follow. And then kind of part of me is like, well, I have to follow that. Like that's actually more interesting. Well, a lot of times it's like you just work your hardest, and there's always like a time limit, and then you just do whatever the best thing you can, and then you don't like it, you don't think you did very well, so you do another job to prove that you're better than the last job you did, and the same thing happens, and you do another one, and then all of a sudden you're 41. You know, that's my life. Like I never think I really did well enough, and then I just, I'll do this next one, I'll totally prove to everybody that I'm okay, and then you just keep going, you know.